likes to this videos? If we make 5,000 likes to this video, we will upload more patriotic news. Thank you. Diva like Megyn Kelly just made the dumbest excuse for her failing ratings at NBC. It would be a huge understatement that Megyn Kelly's new career at NBC has not gone as well as she had hoped it would. Megyn earned scathing reviews for her interviews with Vladimir Putin and Alex Jones, and her ratings have been very poor. Beyond this, Megyn's colleagues at NBC have come out and described her behavior behind the scenes as being diva-like. Instead of taking stock of herself honestly and trying to make needed changes to save her career, Megyn instead offered lame excuses for her underperformance. Said Megyn about her dismal ratings numbers, "I thought the ratings were fine." She then tried to spin them, saying, "We didn't expect to beat 60 Minutes, but our average for the summer was actually quite solid, especially when you compare it to what had happened when they launched a little news magazine the summer before as an experiment." She then optimistically compared launching her fledgling television show to raising her children, which, at last count, take 18 years to reach maturity. She said, naively thinking she will have no shortage of time to try and make her show a success, "I have 3 children, and they didn't come out of the womb running. They had to learn to crawl, and then they walked and then they ran. And that's the same for television shows. I didn't expect anything other than that. Thankfully, my bosses don't, either." She then tried to pivot away from her longtime role covering politics, claiming while plugging her book that her show is going to sort of scratch those other itches that every normal human being has when it comes to health and parenting and relationships and their own striving to settle for more. "If I never have to say Mitch McConnell on the show, it could be okay, it could work." Do you think Megyn Kelly will last long at NBC? Stanford teaches students they need to eradicate whiteness, "It's insane." Liberal colleges are becoming disturbingly anti-white. They claim to fight against racism. But apparently they believe the only way to do this is to be actually racist against white people. It has gotten to the point that they are associating whiteness with evilness. Stanford University is now teaching a class about abolishing whiteness. The course is called White Identity Politics. We will survey the field of whiteness studies, scholarship on the intersection of race, class, and geography, and writings on whiteness in the United States by contemporary public thinkers, to critically interrogate the terms used to describe whiteness and white identities. The course description reads: students will consider the perils and possibilities of different political practices, including abolishing whiteness or coming to terms with white identity. What is the future of whiteness? They write. It's not just colleges either. New York Magazine recently wrote an article insulting people with blonde hair for having whiteness. Now, blonde is the color of the right, for whom whiteness has become a hallmark. Blonde hair is a dog whistle of whiteness, an unspoken declaration of values, a wink-wink to the power of racial privilege and to the 1980s vibe that pervades a movement led by a man who still believes in the guilt of the Central Park Five, writes New York Magazine. This is insane. What is wrong with these people? Former Obama official turns on CNN, blames them for the escalation of North Korea. Former Obama State Department spokesman John Kirby lashed out against CNN for helping raise the tensions between North Korea and the United States. The network most likely invited him on to insult the president and blame him. They must have been furious with what he said instead. He bashed the media for their obsession with President Trump's locked and loaded tweet. While Trump meant this as a warning for North Korea to stop threatening us, the media spun it into an active war against North Korea. That can't be good for us. We should be looking for ways to de-escalate the tension, take a little bit of the air out of the tires. Pursue diplomatic solutions the way Secretary Mattis has been advocating, said Kirby. This all started this week with a leaked assessment to the Washington Post about the fact that they had achieved miniaturization and the president responding to that leak in that news article. We went from 0 to 100 miles an hour in the course of about 48 hours based on the news article and the leak. We've just amped up the tensions in an unnecessary way. "We do not have to be where we are right now," said Kirby. Do you think he's right? The media is willing to do anything they can to escalate the drama because that is good for ratings. If only CNN actually cared about American life. Michael Moore gets serious hate from the New York Times for his narcissistic anti-Trump Broadway show. Ever since President Trump was elected, Michael Moore tried to cash off of his success by insulting him. Moore is making documentaries, TV shows, and has even premiered his one-man Broadway show of him insulting President Trump. Maybe it's a one-man show because no one else wants to have anything to do with it? Even the New York Times, who agrees with his point of view, thought the show was pretty pathetic. They started by writing how they love his politic. Still, you don't have to disagree with Mr. Moore's politics to find that his shtick has become disagreeable with age. The Terms of My Surrender, which opened on Thursday at the Belasco, is a bit like being stuck at Thanksgiving dinner with a garrulous, self-regarding, time-sucking uncle. Gotta love him, but maybe let's turn on the television, writes the New York Times. I'm not coming to this stage every night to conduct a political rally, Mr. Moore told the New York Times in July. This is not a kumbaya piece of theater. That's true, the Terms of My Surrender is not organized well enough to be either of those things, writes the New York Times. Ha! The NID writes that the show tries to teach people how to resist Trump in vague ways, but the only thing people learn to resist is the plan itself. I actively resisted plenty of material that might otherwise be amenable to me politically, writes the NIT. They even called him out for being a hypocrite. Mr. Moore's valorization of the Midwestern working class from which he hails cuts against his claim that ordinary Americans, like the ones who voted for Mr. Trump, are stupid. America, he says, has been dumbed down and now can't think. Rush Limbaugh crushes Kim Jong-un and everyone who's afraid of him. He's a zit on a pig. The liberal media has been completely freaking out over North Korea, and even more over Trump's response to North Korea. However, Rush Limbaugh has a hilarious take on the whole situation. What does this mean? It means that wimpism has taken over the Washington establishment, that wussism and wimpism and pajama boyism has taken over, said Limbaugh. He said that even though North Korea is working on these weapons, there is nothing to worry about and the liberal media is acting like a bunch of wusses. North Korea is a zit on the butt of a pig, and there is no reason to be afraid of it. Would we run around acting afraid of a zit on a pig? Mr. Limbaugh, they are getting nuclear weapons. Yet, they can't hit the side of a barn yet, for crying out loud, said Limbaugh. What are we supposed to do? Sit here and wait until the real one is airborne and hope that being gentle and compassionate and unprovocative will stop this lunatic from doing what he is doing? Is that what we are to believe here? That we adopt the Obama pajama boy policy here? That's how the Iranians got this their nukes. It's this pajama boy liberalism way of life, said Limbaugh. Pete Hegseth smacks down co-host who makes nasty attack against Trump on air. Now that President Donald Trump has hit some speed bumps in his first year in office, it has become trendy even among conservatives to bash Trump. Thankfully, there are also no shortage of people who proudly stand by Trump and aren't caving to liberal attacks or fickle trends. During a recent broadcast on the Fox Business Network, anchor Dagen McDowell attempted to pin current fractiousness among Republican lawmakers on the president. She said, "You talk about eating each other? The problem is President Trump. When he was running for the nomination, he gobbled up Republicans right and left like him and Dems. Little Marco, Lie and Ted, low energy Jeb, he decimated, he destroyed, the party and they resent it." Added co-host Jillian Turner, "Is it smart for the president? If you're looking at strategy, is it smart for him to try and potentially throw Mitch McConnell under the bus?" Pete Hegseth finally spoke out in support of President, saying, "What doesn't help is when you have senators like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski who run against Obamacare and then they vote with Democrats." He added, "There are the ones shooting inside the tent. This president wants to do all the things they said they wanted to do on the campaign trail, yet because he is a little bit different, he's outside the box, he speaks differently, they can't get behind him? Are you glad Pete said